Good evening, I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Tonight, special campaign coverage from Calgary, where the politics is all tied up in the pandemic.
We're just frustrated and tired and wish we didn't have to deal with this again.
Frontline hospital workers on what they're seeing and why they're worried. Plus, checking in on a traditional Alberta refrain.
We are not liberal people. We will be so happy when the government changes.
Why this time some conservative voters have choices. The Delta is rising in the UK, but the attitude is downright cool.
COVID is over, for sure.
Why COVID watchers are nervous. And from Bianca to Dennis to Felix and now Layla.
Even if I lose, I gotta go for it, and I'm glad I did.
Is Canadian tennis entering a golden age? This is The National. We are in warm and sunny Calgary tonight, one of Canada's most dynamic and fastest growing cities, in a province hungry for a bigger say in federal politics, filled with people who say it is about time. With Labor Day done, they and you have 13 days to decide, though recent history here suggests Albertans have probably already made up their minds. In the past 6 federal elections, the Conservative Party has only lost 11 seats in total. So no political tension, right? Wrong. The pandemic has created that, opening up new rifts, exposing old ones. Tonight, we'll hear about hopes and fears with the COVID-19 situation going in the wrong way quickly. Almost 5,000 new cases over the long weekend, more than 1,300 today, and more are getting severe. 602 people in hospital, almost 100 from Friday. ICUs have 137 patients, even with those numbers, all of them the highest since May. Aaron Collins starts with someone who's seen it all firsthand.
A nurse for 40 years, the last 20 in a Calgary intensive care unit, but just 18 months of COVID has taken its toll.
We're just frustrated and tired and wish we didn't have to deal with this again.
Her ICU already scrambling to make more space, preparing to double bunk COVID patients. Still, she worries it won't be enough this time.
I dread the day that the physician has to decide whether a 25-year-old will get a vent or a 50-year-old will get a vent.
A familiar lament as cases continue to surge in Alberta. To slow this fourth wave, the province now dangling $100 in front of the unvaccinated. An unpopular move for some at this Edmonton vaccination clinic.
I think it's ridiculous that they've had to go to this extent instead of managing things a little more effectively early.
Well, no surprise, the opposition is critical of the government's response too, continuing to push for vaccine passports.
Do the right thing, allow those who have gotten vaccinated, who are protecting themselves and their communities, to be able to have access to the things that they enjoy in life.
A province-wide mask mandate is back. Sales of liquor at bars now stops at 10. But will it all be enough to bend the curve in time?
You have to wait 2 weeks, normally 10 days, to see an effect on the exponential growth rate. How much have we bent down the curve in Alberta? But the problem is going to be if the ICUs are full, you don't have a lot of time to play with.
The worry that Alberta waited too long to act, that this latest wave will soon come crashing down on the province's healthcare system.
So Aaron Collins joins us now at that awkward distance of this COVID era. Aaron, looking at the official numbers, clearly it's terrible, but I get the sense from you that actually it's substantially worse.
Yeah, that's right. I've been speaking with people connected to Alberta's contact tracing system, and they're telling me that as bad as these numbers are, many more Albertans could actually have COVID. They're saying to me that since the province rolled back testing and quarantining of close contacts of COVID patients, many positives are slipping through the cracks. Now, this former contact tracer wanted us to keep her identity secret, but felt the need to speak out.
I don't believe we're capturing even half of the positive cases that are out there right now. And a lot of that is because people don't know that they've been exposed.
And Adrienne, we asked the provincial government about this, and what they said is that they're counting on Albertans to contact their close contacts after they test positive for COVID. So really contact tracing is being left up to them.
Okay, that's tough. Aaron, thank you very much.
You bet.
For Alberta's frontline healthcare workers, this is a repeat performance no one wanted. Overwhelmed and burned out by a COVID resurgence, many say could have been prevented. Earlier, I spoke with Dr. Yael Musaji, an emergency physician, about what scares her and what gives her hope. What does it feel like for you now to walk into an ER, knowing all this is happening with the numbers going up and with the protests happening? What does that feel like?
We've been doing this now for 19 months. And we have worked collaboratively across specialties, across healthcare providers in ways that we never have before. We have done everything we can, and there's really nothing else we can do. What's really going to move the dial on this and what's going to move us forward as a society is making sure that everybody who can is vaccinated. And, there's certainly this moral burnout that we feel, this fatigue that we feel, knowing that people are choosing or deciding not to get vaccinated.
When you use the word burnout, you hear that across the country, but on a tangible daily basis, what does burnout look like in an emergency room?
Nurses are working short-shifted, and in some cases they're being mandated to work 4 hours beyond their 12-hour shift, even if that's been overnight. They're having vacation requests denied. They're completely overtaxed and overwhelmed, and it affects the entire team. And so that's really one feature of this burnout I see. And then the other, of course, is again this dilemma we find ourselves in, where we're providing the best care we can, we're doing everything we can, but there's really nothing else we can do. And it really is up to the public now.
Is betrayal too big a word to describe that feeling?
Not at all, absolutely. In fact, I would say that's been a pervasive sense among all of us who have been working at the front lines of this for so long, that we really do feel betrayed in a lot of ways.
By the public?
By the public. By those who have chosen to be unvaccinated. Certainly, there's a huge groundswell of public support that is still there, and people that have decided to get vaccinated, and so we appreciate everybody who's done that, but we need more.
Now to a big week for the election campaign, with the last two leaders' debates set to go, but today what grabbed attention wasn't civilized debate, it was the aggressive protests dogging Liberal leader Justin Trudeau. Hannah Thibodeau talked with some of the people taking part, including supporters of the People's Party of Canada.
Trudeau must go! The insults from the angry crowd have become routine. But names are one thing, actual stones, another. That spray of gravel got the attention of the main party leaders.
Nobody should be doing their jobs under the threats of violence or acts that put them in danger.
I can't imagine that I'm saying this in 2021. Don't throw stones at people because you disagree with them.
It's completely unacceptable to see harassment of political figures, of media. We live in a great democracy, and let's act like we do.
Justin Trudeau has started calling them anti-vaxxer mobs. While there are lots of people with anti-vaccination signs, PPC! There are also growing numbers of PPC supporters. This candidate says they're fighting for the right to make decisions about their own health.
These are not anti-vaxxers, these are anti-maskers. These are people who are standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves.
One supporter brought her 3-year-old.
Just to show that I want freedom for my daughter. But Trudeau should be standing up for the people. Because all of this is all just lies. There might be a virus going on, but we can't shut down the whole world.
The Liberal leader hasn't been the only target. In Calgary, a Liberal candidate says she and her volunteers have also been harassed.
They were confronted at the doors, they were spit on, they were slapped with our literature.
She says it's a case of the hate that's grown on social media coming to life.
Unfortunately, in this situation, it has manifested itself in a physical way, which is completely inappropriate on a campaign.
London police are investigating the rock-throwing incident, and Trudeau says authorities are prepared to do whatever it takes to keep people safe if things get worse. Hannah Thibodeau, CBC News, Ottawa.
The People's Party leader, Maxime Bernier, wasn't invited to any debate, yet his party now polls ahead of the Greens, according to the CBC poll tracker. Karen Pauls looks at whether that is enough to shake up election results.
Maxime Bernier says his main message is a fight for freedom.
There's a lot of people that are doing that fight with us,
including his supporters who protest at Justin Trudeau's rallies.
I want to show you this picture from last night, the Trudeau rally. Have you asked them, discourage them from doing that and denounce that?
No, I don't control these people, but they're doing that peacefully.
He said that Monday morning, but after gravel was thrown at Trudeau, Bernier tweeted, "Some idiot threw pebbles at Mr. Trudeau yesterday. I condemn it. Words are our weapons, but physical violence is always wrong." Bernier notes when he was egged last week in Saskatoon, none of the other leaders came to his defense.
If the people of Canada choose change, they can get change.
Bernier has become the political champion for some opponents of vaccination passports and mask mandates. He himself was charged for defying Manitoba public health orders in June when he failed to do a 2-week quarantine.
What if you're arrested again today?
I'm taking a chance and we'll see. But if I have to go back to jail to defend our freedoms and the freedom of our Canadians, I'll do that.
In parts of Manitoba with the lowest vaccine uptake, that is very popular.
I want to stand up. I want to stand up for our freedoms in this country.
Maxime Bernier is the only politician out there who is talking about that.
So could he have an impact on Election Day?
I'm thinking Ontario, especially where the Liberals and the Conservatives are close, the PPC could potentially drain votes from the Conservatives enough to let the Liberals get in. If this is going to be a minority parliament, and it probably will, that small number of seats could potentially make a difference.
Still, for a growing number of people, Bernier is giving voice to their concerns they hope he will take to Ottawa. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The Green Party has released its election platform with climate change front and center, of course. David Thurton looks at what else is in it, plus what and who we're missing today.
The platform was released with little fanfare. When it comes to phasing out fossil fuels, no surprise, they laid the groundwork on week 1.
We are the only party in Canada that has said clearly no new pipeline projects, no oil and gas exploration, no fracking. The only party. And there is no way for Canada to do its fair share to reduce greenhouse gas emissions without doing these 3 things.
All this, the Greens say, would help Canada become net negative by 2050. The party would also bring in a guaranteed livable income, along with pharmacare, dentacare, childcare, and they would abolish tuition fees. Missing from the platform how much all this would cost, and the leader. Annamie Paul wasn't available for comment. The party says she's observing Rosh Hashanah and traveling to Ottawa for tomorrow's debate. David Thurton, CBC News, Ottawa.
Following criticism from the Liberal Party, Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole says he would appoint a fully vaccinated health minister if elected.
A health minister who's fully vaccinated. Will you commit to that today?
Yes. I've been advocating for vaccines for over a year.
The Conservatives aren't demanding that all their candidates get 2 doses of a COVID-19 shot, with O'Toole stressing vaccination is a personal decision. He has set a goal of getting 90% of Canadians fully vaccinated.
Our health network is already under a lot of pressure. We cannot therefore accept that workers put vulnerable people at risk.
Quebec has moved to mandate COVID-19 vaccinations for all healthcare workers in the province. So those who are not immunized by October 15th will be suspended without pay. People visiting patients will also have to show proof of vaccination to get in. 77% of eligible Canadians are now fully vaccinated. But with COVID cases on the rise and the Delta variant on the loose, Vicadopia tells us about a new type of variant-specific booster shot that is in the works.
It doesn't take much for Andrea Horowitz to get sick. She's been on medication to suppress her immune system ever since her liver transplant.
I never went anywhere without washing my hands or, I used my feet to open doors.
So when she was offered a 3rd COVID-19 shot,
they said I could come, I ran.
Booster shots can be used in a few ways, typically as a third dose of the same vaccine for people with compromised immune systems, or for those with waning immunity, such as older people or those who had 2 shots early in the pandemic. Or it could be as a new vaccine, redesigned specifically for emerging variants of the coronavirus, such as Delta.
So we're all waiting for the data from Pfizer and Moderna that will tell us whether you get a better antibody level out of a Delta-specific booster versus a regular booster.
The vaccines approved so far were designed to target the original version of the coronavirus and its spike protein, which it uses to penetrate our defenses. But that spike protein has undergone mutations, creating new variants, which researchers have now genetically sequenced.
Then you have the sequence of this new spike protein. You have that, you can just swap out that sequence and then use that vaccine.
The worry is, without a new booster shot, we'll see more breakthrough infections. But so far, researchers say Canada is doing better than other countries, partially because of our delay between doses, which resulted in a stronger immune response.
We do potentially have the luxury of time to wait and see what the data from elsewhere is telling us. Now, that said, though, we need to continue monitoring breakthrough cases with Delta.
For some Canadians, no amount of protection is too much. Vic Adopia, CBC News, Toronto.
Before vaccination was even an option, you'll remember the nightmare in several long-term care homes. As Alison Northcott shows us, public hearings have begun into one private facility in Quebec where 47 people died.
I don't think they were properly prepared.
In March of 2020, Peter Whelan's parents, Ken and Connie, lived at the Heron long-term care home. When his father's health worsened, he moved out and died shortly after. But his mother stayed as COVID-19 spread through the facility and conditions deteriorated badly.
She was still sitting in her soiled diapers. Her catheter bag was filling. At one point in the afternoon, it burst and it was all over the floor.
In early April, she was taken to hospital and tested positive.
We want to know what was going on behind closed doors from the people who were working there. All of us, our evidence about what was going on came through our family members who were restricted to the rooms.
Coroner Jeanne Kamel said she aims to shed light on the circumstances at Heron that led to 47 deaths. The first witness, a Montreal police officer who headed a criminal investigation into the deaths, launched after a 911 call in April. Another witness, Lynn McVeigh, head of the Regional Health Authority, testified she was the one who called police. She said she'd been trying for days to get information from the home's owners, and that night faced a stark realization. The 13 deaths that had been reported were actually more than double that, 31. The lawyer for some of the families wants to know why it took so long for the health authority to see the gravity of the situation.
That no one is able to see that there are people dying and that there are bodies coming out. You know, this is something to me that is completely inconceivable.
Whelan's mother survived COVID. She never returned to Heron and died of other causes months later.
I'm not so interested in individual blame as I am in changing the systemic problems.
He hopes this inquiry can be part of that. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
We have much more special coverage ahead tonight from Calgary. Is your mind made up already?
Darn sure. That's in my blood.
Voters in Alberta share their priorities and their frustrations.
We are not liberal people.
How they could still surprise on election night. As COVID cases surge again, the British keep calm and carry on.
It's done. COVID is over.
Why that has experts concerned. And the Canadian defying expectations at the U.S. Open and inspiring others back at home. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The National is coming to you from Calgary tonight. We're on the road this week to hear your priorities ahead of election night. We'll have more special coverage in a moment, but first, some of the other stories we're watching this evening. The Taliban introduced an interim Afghan government today, an all-male cabinet led by the man who headed the Taliban when it held power more than 20 years ago. The group also declared the country an Islamic emirate. And Britney Spears' father has filed a petition to end his daughter's 13-year conservatorship, saying she should get the chance to once again handle her own life. The move marks another legal victory for the pop star. Last month, her father had agreed to step down as the conservator, but offered no timetable. To the streets of London now, where life appears back to normal, yet the pandemic is far from over. The UK reported more than 40,000 new COVID cases on Monday. Chris Brown looks at an unworried population some say should be.
A surge of new COVID infections is sweeping across Britain, but looking around London, you'd never know it.
It's done. COVID is over. For sure.
Everyone's vaccinated. I'm double vaxxed. I'm proud to be double vaxxed. I think everyone should be vaccinated, and the numbers are going to keep going. It's just like the common cold now.
Nightclubs are packed too, and in the West End, Andrew Lloyd Webber has debuted his new production of Cinderella, and social distancing isn't even required.
On London's Tube, with a lot of people no longer working from home, ridership this week has surged, with more trips to the office.
Face masks are still mandatory on trains, but not enforced, and lots of people ignore the signs. Fueling the sense of living in a post-COVID world is the disconnect between all of the new COVID cases, hovering around 40,000 a day, but very low hospitalizations. Only 7% of the UK's hospital beds are filled with COVID patients.
There is significant protection and immunity right now, fortunately built up largely through vaccines, which means that we are in a stronger position than we were last year.
The worrying area of concern, though, remains young people. Unlike in Canada, 12 to 15-year-olds in the UK have not been approved for vaccinations, and it's in younger age groups where infections are spiking, which is still dangerous, says this expert.
The problem with having high transmission rates, even if hospitalisation rates don't soar, is that the higher the transmission rate, the more mutations. The more mutations, the more variants. And the more variants, the more likely there is to be a variant that escapes the vaccine even more.
So, as London's streets grow congested again, with the return to near normal, some experts fear the elements are in place for a strong resurgence this fall and winter, and that even having 70% of the population double vaccinated won't be enough to stop it. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
Special coverage from Calgary continues after the break. We will hear directly from voters here in Alberta. Is your mind made up already?
Darn sure. Darn sure.
How frustration with the pandemic and with politics could shape decisions election night. But first, voters in this city tell us what's on their mind.
Hi, my name is Sarah Gilholm. I'm a fourth-year university student at the University of Calgary, majoring in a Bachelor of Commerce. And my biggest issue with the federal election is how the parties are going to address post-secondary education expenses. I feel that I'm paying for expenses I'm not necessarily using.
My name is Morgan Norris. I live in Calgary, Alberta. My biggest issue for the federal government would be mental illness, for sure. It's been very difficult for a lot of people, including myself, to go through that pandemic with anxiety and depression, and I have a feeling that as a government and as a society as a whole, we should just be there for each other.
My name is Emily Goebel. My parents own a small business in central Alberta, as well as the company I work for is a small business, and the biggest issue for me is what the federal government will be doing for small businesses, whether that's in tax breaks or subsidies as we're coming out of the pandemic.
Welcome back to our special election coverage from Alberta, a province with few political surprises. But this time around, Albertans are divided over Premier Jason Kenney's pandemic response, and that could have an impact for the federal Conservatives. With COVID numbers worse here than anywhere else in the country, in terms of new cases, hospitalizations, and the positivity rate, the frustration of it all is totally understandable, as is the very heavy sigh that sometimes greets you when you talk about the upcoming federal election. Not that Albertans don't have anything to say, they just keep wondering if what they say will matter.
The freedoms and liberties that this flag represents, one, to me personally, is the ability to choose, folks. It's the ability for...
Summer's last dusty gasp, the Cochrane Rodeo's last day, and an effort to cut through a COVID crisis and make people feel good about Canada and a choice ahead.
In 2 weeks' time, we're going to choose our government.
That voice belongs to John Coppathorne, proud of 150 years of ranching in his family and allegiances as blue as an Alberta sky. Is your mind made up already?
Darn sure. That's in my blood. That's in my blood. And
his focus is singular, that the rest of the country needs to understand if Western Canada succeeds, the whole nation will. To him, that is not happening under a Liberal government.
nobody can convince me tomorrow that we won't need oil and gas for maybe even 10 years. I understand about climate change. I understand. Hey, I'm a rancher. I live on the ground. I feed my family off the dirt that we walk on. The animals that eat that grass are the things that keep my family alive.
With nearly half a dozen rodeos wrapping up in Alberta this past weekend, it's not at all hard to imagine conversations like the one with Donna and John Daphne happening on a loop.
We are not Liberal people. We'll be so happy when the government changes.
So to have Aaron O'Toole, does it matter that he's not from the West?
No.
I mean, he's a military guy, he's a lawyer, he's a smart man. And I think he'll turn this country around and make it so it's less divisive. Because right now, you know, he's dividing the East from the West.
To hear this talk is to perhaps presume 2021 will be a repeat of 2019, when Alberta was a sea of blue save for one riding that went for the NDP. But something else is happening here. It is getting politically crowded. Cochrane sits in the riding of Banff Airdrie, which now has 5 different candidates on the right, including the fledgling Maverick Party and even Derek Sloan, once an MP in Ontario, thrown out of the Conservative caucus. The incumbent Conservative first to appear in the Labor Day parade, but not alone for long. Maxime Bernier's People's Party of Canada is making a serious push here too.
It's all about freedom means equal rights for all. No more rights.
The likes of Don Gray are paying attention to that. That's the PPC's platform he's looking at.
I'm like, yeah.
So no vaccine passports, you're for that?
Yeah, equal rights for all, of course. I mean, I did 22 years in the military. That's what we fight for. More Alberta, less Ottawa. Well, I mean, we need to keep our social commitments up and running too. So it's, I don't know. We're in turmoil. So I look at it.
That crowded field on the right likely won't mean trouble for the Conservatives, but it says a lot about anger here and fears people are not being heard. And Alberta could still surprise in other ways. Consider the Calgary riding just next door to Banff Airdrie. It has a chance of going Liberal, and it's not the only one. Of Alberta's 34 ridings, 4 are now seen as in play.
Which doesn't mean a lot in the whole scheme of things. But if this is a close election, then suddenly those 4 seats could be very important.
Pollster Janet Brown knows the province's political spasms like few others, says worries about not having any voice in government may push some to simply vote strategically.
You know, the last time we elected MPs from Calgary, those MPs got to sit in cabinet. And I think the Liberal candidates running in those ridings today are having those very conversations with their constituents. The Liberals are going to win, let's have a seat at the table. Though the Liberals are going to win argument isn't quite as strong as it might have seemed a few weeks ago.
Rise and shine, breakfast please.
It's in the heart of Calgary where Liberals will look for support. Shifting demographics may work in their favor, as might frustrations with Premier Jason Kenney's handling of the pandemic. So you think Aaron O'Toole might pay for Jason Kenney's problem?
Potentially.
Our kabayan, Cynthia Pineda.
Michael Juarez working as MC at the Filipino Festival has political aspirations at a municipal level. So he talks to a lot of people and senses a lot of confusion.
So at least some of the people I've spoken with might not be able to differentiate between provincial versus federal. And the reflection of how the provincial government is handling things may have a negative impact upon the federal election.
Not always easy having political conversations in the fading light of summer, in a moment in a province when people seem to want to think about or do just about anything else. The frustrations go so far beyond being asked to vote in a rushed election. Many here see as a waste of time and money. You heard it a bit there. Albertans continuing to worry that results will be over long before the votes are counted out here, and that no matter what they decide, it's voters in Ontario and Quebec who will ultimately determine which party will form the next federal government. Though the tighter this race gets, the more their influence here will matter. You can see a lot of those concerns in the community of Edson. That's about 2 hours east of Edmonton. Battered by drought, the pandemic, and years of trouble in the energy sector, people have a lot on their minds. Paige Parsons has the story.
A railroad town founded a century ago, Edson, Alberta's fortunes have always been tied up in natural resources. First coal, now oil and gas. Politically, it's no exception to the rest of Alberta.
Typically in the Yellowhead riding, it's very, very conservative with huge majorities for the Conservative candidate in our riding.
The election signs are easy to spot. After a tough couple of years, things are looking up for Edson. Out-of-town workers filling up hotels and restaurants, with 3 major energy projects underway, including the Trans Mountain Pipeline. This third-generation owner of an oil field maintenance company has diversified, doing forestry and municipal work contracts as well. He wants a federal government that does more to boost the energy sector.
The energy industry, resource industry is important to the economy. I think it's been overlooked by a lot of things.
Lise Pavich has owned a spa for 10 years. She's hearing a range of views from her clients.
I don't believe that we stand divided in any way. We are open to discussing however that works for a lot of different people's opinions, lifestyles.
There are other issues on people's minds. The 4th wave of the COVID-19 pandemic has hit Edson hard, and farmers are dealing with disaster after the summer's brutal heat wave. This teacher wants to see how parties respond to calls for action on recent residential school findings. And young people dealing with intergenerational trauma.
What they plan to do going forward is the biggest thing for me because it's a huge, huge issue. Our kids are so affected by it.
Leggett says a lot of people here will vote the way they always have. She plans to do her research before casting her ballot and hopes her neighbors do the same. Paige Parsons, CBC News, Edson, Alberta.
Of course, the Nationals got you covered during this election. With 2 more weeks left, there is still much more to come, including the English language debate on Thursday. We will put questions directly to the federal leaders on issues that are relevant to Canadians to help you make an informed choice. That starts at 9 p.m. Eastern on CBC Television, also on radio, GEM, and cbcnews.ca. And right after that, we'll have the analysis you'll need with a special edition of The National, including Chief Political Correspondent Rosemary Barton and the Ad Issue panel. It can feel hard to believe, but this weekend will mark 20 years since the September 11th attacks that changed so many lives forever.
It wasn't until after actually 9/11 where you really started to really question your safety as a Muslim in America.
Next, 3 Muslims who left the U.S. for Canada on making that decision and what has changed in the decades since. This is what the site of the World Trade Center looks like now, nearly 20 years after terror attacks killed more than 2,700 people and changed the world forever. Now, this was especially true for Muslims in the U.S. Some found they couldn't call it home anymore. Tonight, we speak with 3 people who moved to Canada for a better life. They reflect on that decision, their families, and the slow rise of hate in Canada.
So I'm a Palestinian Canadian. I grew up in the city of Jerusalem. I'm the eldest of 3 boys. After high school, I moved to the US in the pursuit of higher education. I spent most of my time in Michigan, where I did my PhD at the University of Michigan. I got married 2 months after 9/11, and my wife joined me in the US. And this is when I started to realize the struggle that a Muslim woman goes through if she's not in a welcoming, inclusive environment. We've had experiences where someone would shout at us, "Bin Laden, go home," or we've had an experience where we once got lost on a hike, and so it got really late, and we finally made it to the road, and flagged someone, and I think they pulled over, but when they saw my wife, they said, "No, sorry, I can't help you," and they drove off. And I think that's when I started preparing my papers to apply to immigrate to Canada.
Yeah, just stick yarn. What happened to it? I'm first generation American. My parents immigrated from Lebanon, and I grew up in the suburbs of Houston, Texas in the 80s and early 90s. And we were the only Muslim family in our school. There wasn't really anyone else who shared my faith or who looked like me growing up. It wasn't until after actually 9/11 where you really started to really question your safety as a Muslim in America. When we were in Philadelphia, an incident happened where a severed pig's head was thrown over one of the local Islamic schools in Philadelphia, and pig's blood was also thrown over the playground. That was the type of situation that for me was like, okay, it's time to really see what life is like in other places.
Keeping the Muslim identity was a struggle after 9/11. It's continuous fear. It's bad for your mental health. That morning of 9/11, we saw the news, we went to school, everyone was okay. Lunchtime comes and friends were saying, "Oh, did you hear what happened? Your Muslim people attacked New York." What we didn't understand is what do we have to do with this? This is a terrorist group, bad guys that ended up doing this. What does that have to do with us? As a child, I still couldn't comprehend that this was something that reflected on my identity as a Muslim. When I moved to Canada, I was 16 years old. I was in high school. My first impression, I was very impressed. I was like, you know what? This is different. It's almost like you had a honeymoon phase where you moved from the US with this extreme fear, and you came to Canada and everything was beautiful. I went to high school with just one incident. It was almost like I had this phase where we didn't have any issues, but these hate speeches continued to increase, and we're starting to see extreme behavior now.
Like every other Muslim in Canada, I am paying attention to the rise of Muslim hate and Islamophobia that's happening around the country. And it almost feels like a very similar wave of instances and situations happening in Canada as well. As Muslims in Canada, I really hope that my kids can live as proud Muslims, and find acceptance and not feel like they have to constantly challenge a negative stereotype or narrative about Islam or about their faith.
9/11 made me more cautious. I had to walk sometimes looking behind my back. It's fear, right? This 9/11 incident and the hate that it brought continues to put us in fear every day. Wow. My hope is when my children grow up, they don't have to experience Islamophobia in a personal level or in a community level. We want it to be an issue that is resolved, and no one has to ever face being afraid because of the religion they believe in.
Canada, it's a multicultural country. It's a country that prides itself on diversity, and yet we've been the country in which some of the worst Islamophobic violence has taken place. So I don't know if things are getting worse, but I think we're definitely confronting a challenge, and it's a serious challenge. Courage is I think, to me, is a very important quality that we have if we're going to be able to confront Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, other forms of prejudice and racism.
Okay. Really nice now, like people.
So I'm the father of 4 wonderful children, and obviously, you know, I really hope for them just to feel normal. I want my kids to think that, you know, I am a member of a big Canadian family that's 40 million strong. Just a normal member of that family who's pursuing their destiny as everybody else is. But I hope also that we don't fall into a culture of victimization. We should, you know, be active agents of our future as opposed to having external hateful forces define our future for us.
And we will, of course, bring you more stories in the days leading up to the anniversary, which is on Saturday. But let's change the tone, because up next on The National, we shift our attention to the world of sports.
Leylah Fernandez is into the semi-finals of the US Open.
Another stunning win by a Canadian tennis phenom. We will be right back.
This election, your vote matters. CBC News is here to provide you with the election tools you need to make an informed decision. Informed by you. Canada Votes 2021.
Look at me, you're healthy as a stuffed green pepper. Healthier!
22 Minutes is back.
Hi, kids.
You thinking what I'm thinking?
22 Minutes, new season.
Sounds about right.
September 14th on CBC and CBC Gem.
I'm Jamie Poisson, and today on CBC's Daily News podcast, Front Burner, Toronto Raptors president Masai Ujiri on his new vice chairman title, rebuilding the team, and his commitment to growing African basketball. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. Canada's historic run at the U.S. Open continued today with another epic win from Leylah Fernandez. She is helping to make this a summer to remember for Canadian tennis. As Thomas Dagla tells us, the impact is being felt on center court and far beyond.
Inspiration from the Canadian. Who would have thought she'd make it this far and still keep winning? 19-year-old Leylah Fernandez upsetting 5th seed Alina Svitolina, the latest star to fall to the unseeded, underestimated Canadian who's tearing up the U.S. Open.
I just told myself to trust my shots, trust that everything's gonna go well. Even if I lose, I gotta go for it, and I'm glad I did.
Fernandez stunned the tennis world last week by defeating reigning champion Naomi Osaka. Then she upset veteran Angelique Kerber, setting the stage for this quarterfinal. And the love affair with New York.
We're summoning in the new generation of tennis players, and I think Canada has a place there.
2 years ago in New York, it was Bianca Andreescu leading a new wave, the first Canadian to win a Grand Slam singles title. This summer, Denis Shapovalov reached the Final Four at Wimbledon, with Félix Auger-Aliassime not far behind. At 21 years old, he too is on a roll, competing in his own quarterfinal match tonight.
Be amazing for us to lead our country.
Speaking to us in 2019, Auger-Aliassime already predicted there was more to come from Canada.
We also feel the energy coming from the people at home, the interest that they give when you see the numbers going up of people, trying out tennis, watching tennis. It's just very encouraging for us.
Just check out the lineup at this Toronto tennis shop. With more fans picking up outdoor sports in a pandemic and amid Canada's hot streak.
People are coming in, mentioning the matches, and sometimes people that don't even play tennis are coming in saying they're watching the Canadians. So it's very exciting.
And why is that?
What is it that they're feeding you up north in Canada that is producing such incredible, inspiring tennis this week?
I would say it's the maple syrup.
A sweet result, no matter what's fueling her.
The Canadian maple syrup.
Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Toronto.
Good answer. So excited for them. When we come back, a surprise donation to a family in need. A stranger answers the call for help. The moment is next.
CBC News app is your source for election news as it happens.
Every week, it is crucially important that Edward Fallow can drive more than an hour to St. John's. His 2-year-old daughter, Lexi, needs chemotherapy every week. But one day on the road, his car broke down. So Edward reached out for help and ended up with a bigger gift than he could have ever imagined. Our moment starts with the donor.
You know, it was a very touching story, and I feel that after talking to some mutual friends of mine and Eddie's that I just learned were mutual friends that day, upon speaking with my father, we decided that we were actually going to donate the vehicle to the family.
Turn I had when it broke down, so many things was running through my mind when it happened, and then when I got in contact with Courtney, and Courtney put a post up, and then this gentleman donated the car. It was just mind-blowing. It was amazing.
The important part is that Lexi gets her treatments. She gets there safely and back. I mean, they had a close call on the side of the road, and the last time they used her vehicle. That won't happen again, not in the near future.
So there are good people everywhere, thankfully. Lexi, to you, I know you're only 2, but we're sending you lots of love. This just started with a friend writing a post about a buddy needing a hand. And look what happened. From Calgary, that is the National for September the 7th. Good night.